You might recall that one of the critiques of the 1930s from many of the people of color from the left, people like Du Bois, um, George Padmore, Amy Cesar, all said that basically what we had in the 1930s with the rise of first Mussolini and then the Nazis in Germany was the importation of colonial fascism into the center, into the metropoles. That basically in the colonial so-called peripheries, that the very development, the very evolution of that relationship, that empire building on the part of Europeans was fascistic in the sense that basically it was based on the absolute and total dehumanization and degradation of the colonial populations. It was based on a predatory form of colonial capitalism. It extracted value from the resources and the labor and the very lives of the people in the colonies, with the values being transferred back to the centers. But for the people themselves, there was no democracy. There was complete coordination between the private economic forces and the colonial states. In the 1930s, in the midst of the capitalist crisis, those kinds of conditions were imported back into Western Europe. The abandonment of liberal democracy, the merging of the state and the private sector, the capitalist sector, the surrendering, if you will, of much of a degree of the power that capitalists have to these petty bourgeois-led political movements in Italy and in Germany. Okay, with the result of the Second World War, but not the end of fascism. So now what we have another, we have the crisis of the 2007-2008, the most severe capitalist crisis since the 1930s. Is more than a coincidence that a consequence of that period was one of the most aggressive U.S. administration in post-war history under the Obama administration. It wasn't just a coincidence. This was the reaction. This was laying the foundation for the reconsolidation of a fascist reform to this crisis. You know, moving and making sure that you had your forces in place in places like Honduras. So you support a coup in Egypt, in Libya. You deny the movement for human rights in Bahrain. You embrace the Saudis and you unleash a war in Yemen. You know, there's a 2,400% expansion of the 1033 program in the United States of America. 1033 program being the program to transfer military grade equipment from the military to the police forces. It's a 1,900% expansion of the U.S. Africa Command. Okay, so this lays the foundation for where we are today. With the neo-fascism consolidation that's taking place under the Trump administration. Everything that the Trump administration did, the foundation was laid under Obama and under Biden. So neo-fascism is the reform process we are presently grappling with, and people need to understand that there's not going to be any effective response from the neoliberal Democrats. I've been making an argument for almost 8 years that the cutting edge of the new forms of fascism in the U.S. was in fact emanating from neoliberal Democrats. Neoliberalism is a form of fascism. That's why it was first imposed where? In Chile in 1973. Okay? So these are the kinds of conceptual and analytical frames we need to understand and grapple with if we're going to understand and grapple with the current challenges we face today. If not, we're going to be confused. We're going to be trying to psychoanalyze individuals, not understanding the objective class forces at play.